Hello, welcome to the channel. Today I am so excited. This box just came from Amazon. Yay! It has my 72 Prismacolors inside. Let's open it up and take a look. Okay, let me use my X-Acto knife and we will get into the box. I've learned when I get things from Amazon, at least here at my address, not it's kind of like a surprise every time. I never know what I'm going to get. Sometimes the packaging's okay, sometimes it's horrible, sometimes my products are good, and sometimes they're less than good. So I guess I'm going into this. I haven't had a lot of luck lately. I know you guys haven't got to see the behind the scenes, but yeah, there'll be a future video where I talk about that. But yeah, let's look inside. I don't know what to expect. I'm almost afraid to do this on a camera, as bad as my luck has been. Oh, another box. Another box. So we have a box inside of a box. Okay. Let me move this box away. Toss that down there. So we have a box inside of a box. Let's see what... Apparently this came from Hebron, Kentucky. At least I got an idea where this one shipped from. I wish I knew what Amazon facility gets used every time so I could try to figure out which facility it is. That's just being very crappy. And I just saw something interesting. I'm going to have to do some research. Prismacolor pencils are made by who, guys? Were they not made by a Rubbermaid company now? On the side of this, it says Sanford brand Prismacolor 72 count marker set. Is Sanford who used to make Prismacolor? Is this an old set? I don't know. Maybe you guys can chime in on that. I'm going to do a little research on it anyway, just to find out, but I was pretty sure the pencils were now made by the Rubbermaid company. Maybe not anymore. Who knows? I'm going to find out what's going on with that. Okay. I thought I cut this all the way through. I guess I didn't. Let's try it again. Okay. Set this off to the side. And bam. We have Prismacolor art markers. All right, let me get this out of here. Let me get this out of this box. Now, I have the 48 set of the brush markers. The 48 set of the brush markers actually come with 2 cases that hold 24 each. Very nice cases. The 72 just comes with this box. I know that several people have already kind of reviewed them and everything. So I know this is kind of a repeat for some, but I wanted to share mine also and everything with everyone. Now, I have the 48 brush marker set. This is the 72 Chisel and Fine end. It's recently been on sale on Amazon for $119. I believe the price did go up overnight to like $202. I was really hoping I could get this out there for you guys and talk about them before the price went up, but maybe the price will go back down. I love my Prismacolor brush markers, and here was my thought on it. I know that in the 72 set that you're getting some metallic markers that count towards the 72. I know that at the end I'm not going to have a lot of extra markers added color-wise, but since I loved these Prismacolor markers so much, the colors are wonderful. And I was finding that I was using the fine end a lot more than the chisel end anyway. So what I kind of thought was, well, if I started replacing these markers as they went out, because there's not refills, it would not take me long to hit that $119, so why not just get the whole set? It'll actually save me money, you know, in the long run. While they're on sale, grab them, so that's what I did. So they come in just a cardboard box, and oh, I'm gonna need to cut this again. Okay. On the back of the box, it does have a color chart, which is very, very nice. I really like that it has that for us with a color chart that tells us how we can label or chart out our markers, which is super nice. And, oh goodness, they're going to all fall out. I wasn't sure how it works when you opened the box. Oh my. Oh no, I do not like this storage. And I already had plans for storage anyway. So, and I was anticipating storage to be weird. So you open up the top of the box and it just exposes the markers, and then you can open up the bottom of the box like this so you can kind of get to these markers. They're on flimsy plastic trays. I definitely feel that they could have spent, you know, that Prismacolor could definitely put more into the packaging on these, but I knew what to expect, so I'm not upset. But, you know, getting the 48s and them coming in those really nice zippered cases, even though it was 2 cases with 24 each, that was really nice to have. So this is like kind of a, seriously, Prisma? So, okay. I want to get these in color order, first and foremost. They do not come in color order at all. So I want to get them into color order. I also want to go ahead and prepare my swatch sheet with the color names and numbers, so we're not having to do all that on camera. We're going to color a mandala out of the new Springtime Mandalas book by Camelia Angelova, and just really take a long look, or a look at these markers. So I don't know how long this video is going to be, so I'm going to cut it as short as possible by doing as much as I can off camera. But I want to do a quick flip through of the Camelia Angelova's new Springtime Mandalas book for anyone who may be interested, and we'll go ahead and get that part out of the way before I pause the video and chart all these out. So this is the 50 Springtime Mandalas. It is Camelia Angelova, and we're just going to look at each one of these. There is a, you know, flip throughs on her channel here on YouTube also, but we'll just take a look. I have no idea which one I'm going to color. I'm going to have to decide that also, but I thought that would be a good first thing to do with my Prismas, my 72s. Oh, I'm shaking everything. Oh, things are not going my way today. All right. But they have some really cute, there are a lot of Easter eggs in this book. And when I think spring, I think things other than Easter eggs or egg things. But there are a lot, you know, this one's not, that's nice. But you see another eggs, eggs, egg, not eggs, eggs, not eggs. But there are a lot of eggs, 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 not eggs. So you kind of get that. So I mean, it is kind of Easter themed, even though it says spring mandalas. But there are a lot in here that don't have eggs, but there are a lot that do have eggs. So yeah. But it's a cute little book. I'm really in love with her work. I think I have all of her books now, I think. And I'll definitely be following her as she puts more artwork out. I don't have her Christmas mandala. I don't have that. And I didn't like the sun, moon, and stars either. So it's a very cute book. This is Amazon printed paper. That's, you know, for me, that's fine, but I know some of you don't like that. Of course, you could take the pictures out and copy them for printing, and that's the end of the book. And here's the back. All right, so that's our flip through of the 50 Springtime Mandalas, and I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go swatch out these. Well, not swatch out. I'm going to order these markers and get them ready to be swatched out. Okay, guys, I will be right back. All right, I have them all separated as listed from Prismacolor in color order. A little confused on some. I'll see how it looks when they go down. I've gotten all of the names written down here. And if anyone's interested, the chart I'm using is actually the Jade Summer color charts. I'll try to remember to link that down below along with the markers and the book. And all I did is I just used my X-Acto knife and cut out a page so I could print them onto, you know, whatever paper I chose also. And yeah, so that's where this chart comes from. And I'm just gonna go ahead and zoom you guys in. And I did look, just so you know, and Prismacolor is made by a company by the name of Newell. That company goes under several names, Rubbermaid being one, Sanford also being one. So that explains that. All right, so we are just gonna swatch these out and see what we got to work with here. This is PM23 and it is cream. Okay, and then Prismacolors are very, very hard to pop open, guys. They really are. They have great, great seals. I can tell you they're airtight, but they are kind of hard to pop open. And in case anyone was wondering, you've got your color name written here on the barrel, and then on the top you'll have your color number, which in this case is PM131. And this is Deco Yellow. And I know you guys have seen these swatched out on camera before, probably with other channels, but I wanted it here on my channel. These are my Prismacolors, so I wanted to have those. This is PM19 Canary Yellow. I really do love the Prismacolor markers. Their colors are so bold and so vibrant, yet the ink doesn't feel thick. It still feels like a very alcohol lightweight ink. That may not make sense to some, but PM17 is Sunburst Yellow, and you guys may actually be able to read these, so I may not have to actually name all these out, and I can just kind of talk while I swatch. But for those of you who are familiar with, say, Copic, a lot of people complain about the Copics being kind of falling flat because they're such a light color, they're so transparent, and people don't feel that they get the color vibrancy that they would like in Copics, so they kind of shy away from them, maybe, I guess. I do like the Copics, especially for that lighter weight, light translucent color. If I want to like come over with my pencils and, you know, put pencil on top of my marker, I do like that. Now with the Prismacolor, you've still got that lightweight feel of the ink, which really, in my opinion, makes blending a breeze, because it's more, the ink's just not as thick, is the best way I can describe it. If you've colored with, say, touch mark, like touch 5s, touch news, the ink almost has a thick feel to it, even with our Cali Arts and things like that. It's really hard to explain, but it's kind of got a thick feel. And if anyone can think of a way to word that better than I'm wording it, please leave that down in the description below. But with the Prismas, you're getting that lightweight, but you're really getting that very vibrant ink also that so many of us really do love. I would agree that Copics sometimes do tend to be a little... they do tend to be a little light, maybe. Very, very translucent. I think I would agree with that statement. And with the Prismas, you're getting the same type of ink, as far as the way the ink feels, I guess. But you're able to get those big, bright, bold colors that you're looking for also. And I like that a lot. I have the 48 brush markers, and I just absolutely fell in love. When I was back in the day, when I was coloring with just Sharpies and Bics, I had actually purchased just a couple Prismacolor open stock that I was using for skin tones, because we really don't have a good skin tone in the Bics and Sharpies. So I had purchased a couple of Prismas, and I liked those. And so when I got these brush markers, I just absolutely fell in love. And I got to thinking, if, you know, as these go out, that's the one big complaint that I have about the Prismacolor markers, is that there's no refills. I really, really wish there were. That would be so amazing. But since there's no refills, when your marker's out, you pretty much just have to toss the marker. And I was thinking, I'm like, you know, I like these so much. I like so many of these colors that I'll definitely be buying the markers open stock as these markers run out. And since I'm going to be buying them open stock, you know, I kind of worked it out in my head. Even if I bought one per trip to, you know, Hobby Lobby or Michael's and used the coupon, I would still be paying, I think they're $6.99. So if I went to Michael's and used a 50%, I would still, are they $5.99 or $6.99? I think they're $6.99, and they may even be $7.99. I'm not sure. They're very close to the price of the Copic Sketch, but either way, I knew that I would be paying $3.50, $4 to $4.50, somewhere probably between $3.50 and $4.50 per marker, buying those open stock using a coupon. If I went to Blick and just bought, you know, several at one time, I think they're like $4.99 a piece, maybe something like that. And I figured out that for the amount of the markers, you know, that I really liked, by the time I replaced them, I would really be better off just going ahead and spending the $119 and getting this 72 set, which would give me replacements for 48 of my markers, and then just give me, you know, a few additional colors. I knew that this set came with 4 metallics. I knew that my black would be repeated, you know, those kinds of things. But it still, to me, seemed like the better deal to just go ahead and get this deal. So that's what I did with them. And what I come to find out is Prisma has much finer tips than like our Cali Arts and things like that. And they can really get into some small areas. I mean, here's the tip size. You see how tiny that really is? And I mean, the chisel, I think on these are a little odd, but you know, you've got the chisel, come on, come into focus. Yeah, you got the chisel nib, you know, also come into focus. There we go. And even though it's kind of an odd looking little chisel, I'll learn how to use it, but I'd really been using the fine tip more than the brush in the 48s. And so I just kind of thought to myself, you know, it doesn't really bother me that this has the chisel opposed to the brush, because what I'm finding out, honestly, is if I'm doing a large area, I would kind of rather use a chisel over a brush. I seem to be able to lay down better color that way. And I never thought I would say that, because I was so afraid of chisels, you know, for so long. But I noticed that I was using the fine point a lot more than the chisel or the brush, and the chisel part didn't bother me. So I just went ahead and picked up the 72 set, and I just figured I would do a video since I was going to, you know, swatch them out on my own anyway. I thought, you know, I would just do the video and kind of turn it into a coloring chat. And that way I could chit chat with you guys and, you know, color some, show you guys a new book, get my swatches done. You know, it's just, I thought this would be a great opportunity to, like, I guess, kill more than one bird with, you know, you can kill more than one bird with a stone. And that's kind of what I was thinking. So, this is magenta, and I think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous color. It's so pretty. I'm sorry I have to keep reaching over. I just sat these up here so I could, you know, just above me, so I could just kind of reach out and grab them. And it kind of gets it all up in the way. This is a very bright pink. I never pronounce this name right. Rhodamine, something like that. Rhodamine. Very bright pink. I don't really use that very often. Okay, this is mulberry. It's a nice, pretty color also. Next we have a Deco Pink. I like these Deco, you know, they have like Deco Peach, Deco Pink. Something wants to tell me there's a Deco Blue, Deco Orange, maybe, something like that. And they're really nice. That's like the Prismacolor Pastels. This is Lilac. Before I put these away, I'm going to need to check the chisels just to make sure all my chisels look good and everything. I'm just checking the fine nibs as I go along. Dark purple. Very nice color. Violet Mist. I tell you, these Prismacolors, they have some amazing airtightness to their markers. I mean, it takes some oomph to pull the lids off of Prismacolor markers. I'm noticing that the markers I've used like the most in my 48 set, the lids are getting a little easier to work with, getting on and off. So I think maybe in time that the lids might loosen up a little, be easier to get off. The only problem is by the time you get it good and broke in, it's probably going to be time to replace the marker. But I really like that they are so airtight. Light Cerulean Blue, because I've noticed on like the more budget brands that the lids aren't on extremely tight on. Those, they go dry so fast. And I mean, within just a few weeks of getting the markers, you'll start having markers that are going dry. And it's so frustrating, and I know it's not low ink, and you know, I've had to, like my Touch 5s, I'm always having to add drops of alcohol down into it, which of course is lightening the ink, but I mean, what are you going to do if you ever want to use a marker again? And I think it's because the lids aren't tight. And that's kind of what it comes down to, is they're not very airtight, and air is getting in there and it's evaporating the alcohol out of the marker and it's drying it out. Because, you know, alcohol will evaporate. You can put, you know, just alcohol out on, like just put just a little bit in the bottom of a glass and just let it sit, and that glass is going to be bone dry. You can, and I know water will evaporate also, but I mean, take the same amount, take 2 little small glasses, pour the same amount, alcohol and water, and watch and see which one disappears the fastest. The alcohol is going to evaporate out, and that's what happens in our markers when they're not airtight. I love that Imperial Violet. It's mixed in with the blues, but to me, it really belongs a few up with the purples. It was very pretty. It's ultramarine. Almost all the time, I've always seen ultramarine be a blue. But in those John G markers that we got a while back, the ultramarine in that set was more of a purple. It's kind of weird. But it was a very pretty shade. I love to talk markers. They're like my favorite thing. I have some more markers on their way. So stay tuned to the channel to get a look at those markers when they get here. I have markers coming in on Tuesday, and then I have some stuff coming in on Wednesday. And I'm not sure. The markers I have coming on Tuesday, they're just a couple small sets to go with a set that I'm going to have coming in soon. Just as additional markers. So I won't be doing that video until I get the large set in, and then I'll just kind of do them together. Wednesday, I have some markers coming in, and I will probably, maybe, try to actually film a video with those on Wednesday. It all depends on what time my mail gets here. Sometimes my mail will show up to my house at like noon, and then other times it doesn't show up until 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. It all depends on what carrier we've got that day, or I don't know. But if it gets here early enough, I'll go ahead and I'll film that video on Wednesday, so it will get to go up. And I'm not even 100% sure when I'm going to put this video up, so none of these days may be making sense to you. Now that I know these markers aren't currently on sale, I'm not in a huge rush to get the video up. I'm going to keep an eye on the price, and if it drops back down to $119 or even lower, would be great for you guys, right? But if it drops back down to $119, then this will, I'll put that video up pretty quickly after that, once I see that, if that happens. I did 2 other small review videos today, so I'll have 3 videos saved by this evening, and they'll be released over the next couple days. I really am trying to get back into having a video, always having like at least a backup video ready to go up in case something happens and I really can't record for a few days. Then I'll have a video, and I'm trying to get myself back into this habit because I realized if I edit my videos on my computer, what I can do is I can get them, I believe there is a way that I can go ahead and upload them to YouTube, but have them set to release on a certain day. And if that is the case, I'm going to research, figure out how to do that. If that is the case, I'm thinking when I go on that camping trip in April, if I can get myself into a habit of having a few, videos made up for you guys, you won't even miss me in April, other than I won't be able to comment on the videos until I actually get back into town. But I will at least be able to have some videos released. I really don't like going several days without getting a video. I think I really like every other day is what I would really like to shoot for. And I think that's reasonable. There for a while, I was trying to see if I could put a video out like every day, and yeah, that was starting to drive me crazy. But every other day is not so bad. And, you know, that just kind of all depends. It depends on what's going on and how talkative I feel, because there's sometimes when I just don't feel like even making, you know, the videos. And what I tried to do there for a while is go ahead and make a video and not even talk, just video myself coloring with the intent to come back and do a voiceover on that when I was feeling a little more talkative. And I know that works for some people, but what I was noticing is I didn't want to do the voiceover. It seemed like such a waste of time, because I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, because if you spend an hour making a video and then you have to sit and do another like hour of a voiceover, and then however long it takes to edit and upload, you have several hours tied up into that 1 hour video. And it's a lot of work, because to do the voiceover, I have to, you know, transfer it over to my computer, and then I have to do the voiceover, and then it has to, do all of its stuff. And it's just kind of crazy. That's a pretty color. What is that? That's jade green. I like that. So we will see how all that works out. This is pretty too. Parrot green, parrot. I think there's a really nice color range in the 72 set. I really wish I could afford the entire Prismacolor set, but that is just way out of my price reach. And I know that a lot of people gawk at the $119 for this, but I'm telling you, look it up. $119 was an amazing price for 72 Prismacolor markers. It really was. So I did everything in my power to make it work into a budget. Gary may kill me, but I'll die happy. Oh, goodness. This is light umber. Maybe the swatching's went a little faster for those of you who don't really care too much for swatching. Just to have me talking instead of naming off, you know, each and every number. I looked, and you can kind of see the numbers and the names, and I figured, you know, for those of you who are actually watching the swatch, you guys can see it. And I've got the names and stuff written down, and if you know, if you have any questions, just ask, and I'll answer them in the comments. But I thought maybe I could chit chat through it. Trying something new. Now we're going into our grays. It has 20, 50, and 70 of the warm gray, cool gray, and French gray. I'm anxious to see what the French grays look like in the markers. I think they're very pretty in the pencils, so I'm anxious to see what it looks like in a marker. You hear those pops when these lids go on? I'm telling you guys, they are on tight. I'm having a hard time. I really don't like this packaging, like at all, that they use for these. Not at all. making sure I was where I was supposed to be. There's been so many times I've swatched out markers, pens, pencils, whatever, you know, and get like halfway through with a swatch and realize I messed up, I missed a block, and oh, that is so frustrating. So frustrating. So, since I got busy doing something, I wanted to make 100% sure I was doing it the right way, because I am right here at the end. That would not be fun, having to start all over at all. These are the cool grays. And I mean, I guess 3 of each color gray, a family in gray, is not that bad for a 72. I'm not a huge gray fan, so having all these grays are kind of like bleh to me, but when they keep it, you know, keep it down, I'm okay with that. You know, I'm still in utter disbelief that the 96 count of Blicks had like 30 grays. To this day, that just blows my mind. I mean, this is 72 and it has 9. But that's not as crazy as the others were. Okay, here we go. These are these French grays. I want to see this. This is French gray 20%. That is a pretty gray. I'd never heard of French grays until I got my Prismacolor pencils. It was the first time I'd ever heard of a French gray. 50%. I don't know that these are a very good representation of the pencils though here. I don't know, I'd have to compare it to my pencil chart and look. They're pretty though. And then 70%. Okay, and then we have a black. Alright, so all the markers are working, at least in these. Still got these 4 metallics to take a peek at. I don't even know that I want to open them. I may not. But what I did do is I just skipped down. Let's come back into frame here. When I did this, I skipped down to the bottom and I listed my silver fine, silver broad, gold fine, gold broad down here. That way I would have some blank spaces in case I bought any Prismacolors open stock. I thought that would be nice. So here is the 72 all swatched out. Can we get them so they're all in frame? Yes. So there is the 72 all swatched out. I believe you've got them all. Yep. And so there you go. It's what they all look like. They're very pretty. I think it's a very nice color range for the markers. I really do. I am definitely glad that I made this purchase. Yeah. Very nice. Okay, I'm going to take a break and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just picked a picture from the Springtime Mandala book by Camelia Angelova. And I just grabbed this egg picture here. And I think that's what I will start on. I'm going to use Canary Yellow first, I think. I'm just going to zoom us in. And we will do a little bit of coloring We'll see how much I can get done on camera. Hopefully my back will do okay and I can sit here and get most of this done here on camera. So, and I looked in the front of this book, it does say an Easter coloring book featuring blah blah blah, different things. So it is advertised as an Easter book. So I guess that explains all the eggs, but it doesn't really say that, I don't think, on the cover. Yes, it does. An Easter coloring book. It is on the cover. So I guess it's properly advertised. So I think what I'll do, since we're towards the end of March and Easter's coming up in April, I'll just try color in this book. I think maybe I'll try to focus on the Easter images, and those kind of can be the ones I color. That way, after Easter, it won't be that big of a deal. I'm not a big fan of coloring holiday images when it's not that holiday. Like early this morning, I spent time, mini go 69 goldenrod. I spent time this morning going ahead and doing a couple of St. Patrick's Day pictures, just to go ahead and, so those would be done. Because I knew once St. Patrick's Day passed, I wasn't going to want to do the St. Patty's Day picture anymore. Which is a shame, because I think I still have some in some of my other books. But hopefully, if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, I will be around and healthy next St. Patrick's Day, next March, to color those pictures. I know I ended up with a lot of leftover Christmas this year. I think I bought way, way too many Christmas books, more than I could deal with. And I thought that I wasn't doing so bad. And then I got to looking and I was like, oh my goodness, at all these. I mean, it's not a lot compared to how many, you know, books I own total, but it's something. And I won't color. I may or may not sometimes in July, if people are, you know, talking about Christmas in July and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes in the summertime, you know, when you're kind of longing for the winter, and that's hard for me to say because I hate the cold, but I do sort of kind of get that way sometimes. Then I'll go back and maybe color some wintry type images. But other than that, nah. Generally, once January hits, it's like, okay, I'm done with Christmas. Let's move along. I think by December 26th, I was coloring like summery type images. Questioning what I want to do with all of these. I really like using limited palette, and it's kind of hard when you have images that are so busy to use such a limited palette, but I enjoy that. I like the way a limited palette looks with a completed image when there's not a whole lot of colors around. I think it looks really good. But I've seen some people who can use almost every color in a set in an image, and it still looks so beautiful. And when I do that, oh my goodness, it looks messy and busy. And I don't know, maybe that's just me because it's, you know, my picture, and I think the way we see our art is not how other people see it. I've seen so many people post like over in the Facebook group and be like, I tried and I failed, and I'm thinking, I think it's gorgeous. And, you know, they chalked it up to a failure, but I know that there's times when I look at something that I've done and I'm like, ugh. So I hope everyone's doing really well. I'm doing good. I am. I wanted to thank everyone that commented on my anxiety video, the what makes me anxious video. It meant a lot to see your comments and things. It did. I mean, it all is what it is, guys. You know, it just is what it is. And we knew when we moved in that this was not going to be easy. I think Gary knew more than I knew. Gary has a little Gary will tell people that he moved out when he was 14 and never looked back, which he didn't totally really move out. He did start pretty much staying at a friend's house all the time, but you know, he still maintained a room kind of thing, but he wasn't hardly ever home. And so I know a lot of you were talking about like personality and that age was a factor or whatever, and no, I think it's more personality than it is age. So I don't think that it's nothing really new, you know, and it's just really hard. And it's not only hard on me, it's hard on him. Don't think that all these things that I complained about does not get on his nerves, because they do. They really do. But what it really comes down to at the end of the day is, what can we do? You know, some of you had suggested, could we sell this place and move somewhere else? Well, Gary wants to build a house and some land that he owns, but we don't have a lot of income, and you know, we're by no means rich. And that's something that would take many years to work towards. It's not a quick fix, and there is so much that needs done to this house to even make it marketable. She would not make much off the sale of this house. It needs a lot still done, and what it comes down to is she truly can't afford everything either that needs to be done before it sells. And it's just a very unfortunate situation where she did not plan for her retirement, and she lived beyond her means using credits and things like that. And now it's going to, you know, it's time to pay the piper, I guess you could say. And it's a tough, I mean, I understand it's a tough position, but, and I guess some could say, or would say that, well, that's not, you know, your problem, and you're right, it's not. But I keep trying to remember and remind myself that this is his mom, and if this were my parents, I would want to do all I could do. It would be really hard for me to just, you know, walk away and leave them just out, not able to pay their bills and not able to truly take care of themselves at times. that would bother me, and it would worry me. And, you know, I know some people had mentioned like an apartment or whatever that's meant for aging individuals. That would be great if she could afford it, because what they'll do is basically it comes down to how much Social Security and stuff that you have. And people who don't have a lot of Social Security, when it comes to trying to pick a color, sorry guys. You know, when it comes to getting those types of apartments, and I assure you the only people that get those apartments have a lot coming in from somewhere, but when it comes to assisted living facilities or apartments or any of that, the amount of Social Security that she has coming in would not even remotely begin to cover it. And that's all she's got, you know. And we definitely don't have the money to pick up the rest of a bill. It's a mess. And I don't really know what, you know, I don't know what to do. I want to just laugh about it, but it's so hard because you're living it, you know. A good example of how little of a grasp of the situation there is she came to Gary last night, and her nephew has a RV in a area up in the mountains where he pays so much a year in fees to be there, and then they keep his RV or whatever, and then he pays like a nightly fee when he wants to use the facilities there, and they'll get the RV and they'll take it to the spot and they'll set it up and do all of that stuff, so you can, you know, just basically show up and, you know, do your little vacation time and then leave. But it's like so much per year plus nightly fees while you're there. And he wants to sell his RV, and she was talking to him, and she asked him, you know, if you sold it, what would you sell it for? And then she came to Gary and was asking Gary about what his thoughts were on her purchasing this RV. And I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me? Because he had said that he could probably let it go for $75,000 to $8,000, and I just couldn't fathom that she was even asking Gary if he thought it might be smart for her to buy this. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, are you serious right now? You just went down to part-time at your work. There's not any more, you know, she no longer has any vacation benefits. She no longer has all these different benefits. She's only working 3 days a week. She's working by the hour now. And, you know, it's kind of like this is the point that that retirement money starts to tick-tock off the clock. And in her mind, she's probably thinking, well, I've got this much money in a 401k. Maybe you do, but not to spend on that, you know? So, I don't know. And that may have been a good time for a reality check, but I don't think that Gary was much in the mood for any kind of possible drama. And he basically just kind of brushed the topic off. But, you know, after she had left the room and everything, I looked at Gary. I said, you know, that would have been the perfect opportunity to have explained to her that we don't want to be here, and the only reason we're here is to help you, to help you and to get you ready for, the biggest change of your life, and, this last part of your life, and to, help you with that. And, it's not that we're just wanting to share a house, because we're not. We would much rather be on our own, in our own place, alone. That's what I think all married couples really want. And what do you mean you want to spend $75,000 or $8,000 on this? Are you, kidding me? But that was not something I don't think that he wanted to deal much with last night, and that's fine. PB 169 Tuscan Red. They're like right here in front of me, and they're all in order, and I still have a hard time following. It's nuts. So anyway, I just say all that to say, it really is just what it is. And I don't think that anything's going to change. And I've just got to get I don't care attitude about a lot of things. And just do my thing. And if she doesn't like it, she can, sulk or throw things, or whatever it is she wants to do. And yes, she has been known to throw things. So violence is not completely off the table. The whole reason back at Christmas when I threw my hands up and said I'm done, I'm leaving, actually it all kind of stemmed even further back. We had probably been here 4 months maybe, and a situation happened, and this is why I really haven't shared much with you guys here on the channel, because, of family things, but some things that I did not agree with was happening, and I vented that out on my own personal Facebook, what I thought about some things, and it caused a huge family uproar. She found out about it through someone else, and Gary was actually at work, and I don't even want to get into what happened, but let me assure you, it was bull crap. I was well within my right to be upset about what was going on, and it started a bunch of crap, and she ended up throwing a fit, leaving the house, peeling tires, 74 years old. And then when she came back, she came roaring in through the house, and she busted into my room, and she proceeded to grab me by the shoulders and made that physical contact, and I don't do well with that. I really don't. But I bit my tongue. I didn't do anything. I did tell Gary if it ever happened again, I would call the police, that I did not care that it was his mom at that point. If she was going to get physical with me, I was going to file charges, because, I told him, I said, and maybe this was foreshadowing, because at that point we had no idea that the stroke issues were going to happen, or the wreck, or, any of that, the surgeries. We had no clue at that point. But I told him, I said, people who may be prone to violent outbursts, when they get older, that tends to get worse. And when, they start to decline or whatever, it tends to get worse. And I said, I am going to make a stand right here and right now that putting your hands on me is not okay. It will not be tolerated in any way, shape, or form. And I told Gary, I said, you know, I love you. I said, but you need to let her know that I love her too. And I mean, I said this also, but there would be no more physical contact on me, or I would call the police. Plain and simple. And then when, you know, everything kind of just went from there, and then when the big blew up happens at like Christmas time, there had been a little bit of violence. No physical contact or anything like that, but there had been some throwing things and stuff from frustrations and stuff like that. And not at me, but just in general, from just frustration about things. And when that happened, and she had basically accused me of cursing at her and all those kinds of things, and that's when I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm out of here. There is no more. And then that's when she fell the next day. But, you know, and don't think that every single day is nutty and crazy. It's not. The problem is, you know, with my anxiety and things like that, I don't do well with, I don't do well with, I'm trying to think of the right word. When I know that there is a possibility that someone can act or behave in a certain manner, I try to stay away from that if it's something that, you know, upsets my nerves real bad. And therefore, the reason I kind of stick to my area of the house and don't really venture out when she's home, unless it's to go to a bathroom or get something out of the kitchen, is just because I don't want to risk that type of encounter ever. And I know that's not healthy. I know. And I need to get into the I don't care frame of mind. But it's always in my mind that this is Gary's mother, and I want to have the utmost respect for her. The truth of the matter is, if someone on the street were on my nerves as bad as things have been, you know, at times here, oh, I would have already gave a serious reality check to someone, because, yeah, wouldn't be tolerating it at all. No, negative. But it's his mom, and I want to have the utmost respect, you know, always. And like I said, it's not that things are crazy all the time, because they're not. It's more of a self-preservation thing, as if in I stick to myself, it's not going to happen. And it does actually lessen the instances when, you know, I stick around here and Bradley's in here with me, or, you know, whatever. The chances of bad encounters get lowered extremely because of that. But I'm gonna be okay, and, you know, I just wanted you guys to know that. I didn't want anybody to, you know, be worried, crazy worried and everything. I know several of you mentioned that you thought I needed to be in therapy, and I didn't take offense to that. Someone had said, you know, that they didn't mean to offend me, and I don't take offense to that at all. Therapy is a good thing for some people. My experiences with therapy in the past has been more of a, okay, we need to send you to a psychiatrist and get you on an even kill, and that's when they want to automatically go to medications, and I'm never ever going there. I can't, you know, I can't go there. But, you know, I totally support the idea of therapy for some, but, you know, after my daughter passed away, I went to grief counseling and therapy for a while, and I was getting more depressed in therapy than I was dealing with things on my own. It's not that I don't know solutions to problems. I'm not good at implementing them necessarily, and there's nothing a therapist can help as far as that's concerned. Most of the time, I'm a very passive person. I'm not really aggressive, and I'll just kind of let people do what people are going to do, because that's what people, in the end, that's what people are going to do anyhow. You know, at the end of the day, people are going to do what they want to do. And it's more about how do you react to it. And, you know, a lot of times in therapy, what they'll do is they'll present problem-solving exercises or give advice on ways to talk to people and communicate. But from what I've realized, when I have a very reasonable person, I can communicate pretty well with that person, and things work out okay. For those of you who may know me even just a little bit, you know that I can communicate, and I can communicate my feelings fairly well. And but when I deal with someone who doesn't think straight, and that's what this situation kind of comes down to. I'm not saying she's not intelligent. She's very, very intelligent. But she's, at the same time, simple-minded. And when I'm dealing with people like that, whose mind is so closed off, and I'm not even sure how to explain it. I don't think she means to be selfish, but she is selfish at the same time. And I mean, she'd give her shirt off her back for someone if they thought, you know, she thought they needed it. She'd go out, and she's always giving to charity and things like that. So, you know, that love and compassion's there, but it seems as if her thought patterns sometimes seem selfish. You know, like I think I may have mentioned before, if we're talking about Gary's blood pressure and what it's been or whatever, and she'll be like, yeah, and it automatically has to go to something about her. And those type of people I can't communicate with, because they won't hush long enough and open their mind to that communication. And if you go to therapy, what a good therapist is going to end up telling you is separate yourself from that situation, from those type of people. And I'm not in a position where I can separate myself. And I mean, I know how to react to these situations, and I'm doing okay in doing that. I know you guys are probably thinking, no, you're not. But I mean, really, I am. And there's just not a lot of solution to be had. It's coming down to I am going to have to work on patience on my end more than anything. And that's a hard thing, I'm telling you. Never ask God for patience, because He will bring you situations to teach it to you. But I just really don't think that therapy is necessarily the answer. I'm doing well with my recovery. I'm not tempted to do things. I'm not doing things that are harmful or negative or anything like that, and I have no desire to. If it ever came down to I was feeling the desire or whatever, I would, at that point, I would definitely reach out and seek help. I would also separate myself from the situation at that point, because I wouldn't have a choice. But I am okay and I am safe. I just wanted you guys to know that. I know my video sounded so emotionally charged, and I mean, and it was. Okay, don't get me wrong, it was. My anxiety had been so high, but I know this may sound crazy to some of you guys, but just being able to voice it out and know that it just went out to, you know, to so many people, that was a huge thing, you know, in itself for me. And it almost took a little bit of the weight off, because I felt like I wasn't hiding my feelings like I had been. And, you know, my thought on it is, from here on out, I'm just going to be honest with you guys when I want to be honest. If I'm having a bad day, I'm going to tell you. If something happens that just irks me and I wanted to share it, even if, you know, I may try to make a funny out of a situation, maybe, I don't know, but I'll share that now. And here's my theory. I'm not going to buckle to intimidation on what I can and cannot say on my own public channel, because I'm not defaming character and I'm not being slanderous. And the bottom line, in my opinion, and I mean, I know some people may be like, oh, that's not a nice, you know, attitude to have. But at the end of the day, if you don't like what you hear, you chose to listen. You chose to listen. And that's kind of the attitude I'm going to take on it, because I understand with Facebook that may have been wrong of me, because we did have extended family and friends and things like that that were on the Facebooks that could read these things. So maybe it was not appropriate to put it out on Facebook like that, like I did. I was well within my right to be upset, believe me. But probably not openly like that on Facebook, because everybody was there. And I know, guys, you guys are thinking, oh, YouTube's just as public. And it is, but this is not a social media platform that I'm sharing with family and friends and, you know, all of that. And it's not a place to share that kind of family stuff. This is my channel. This is a coloring channel. This is a hobby niche channel. And if you came here, you know, you came here on your own accord, and I'm sorry for what you heard if you didn't like it. I hope that makes sense to some of you. And, you know, I appreciate you guys being like, oh yeah, you know, anytime you need to talk, let it out. And I will. I hope you guys meant that. The one thing that kind of blew my mind was how many of you truly could understand, you know, how frustrating it can be to be in a situation. And I don't know. We all have stress, and we all have stressors, and you guys got introduced to mine. Thank you for listening. So I'm not sure I like the way this pink is looking against that Tuscan red. It looked like it was going to look better than this on the swatch. This is the blush pink. PM10. That's okay. And I left that up there blank because I need to add some more Tuscan Red. I should have added that right there and I missed it. So, but I think this is a really cute little book. I'm really liking her artwork. I found several different books from her that I've really liked. It's like I said, I think her Sun and Moon, I didn't much like the 54 intricate mandala book. I didn't really like that one much, and it may be okay with fine liners when I just want to sit and, you know, maybe work with some fine liners, but it seemed like a little much. It was too tiny. And I didn't really like the Sun and Moon book. But all these others I've really liked. I think I have most of the others. I don't have animal mandalas yet. And I don't have the Christmas one that she came out with back at Christmas time. I think it didn't even get published, or it wasn't out for purchase until right at Christmas. It was a little late getting to the ball game, but I can't remember for sure, but I think it was her Christmas mandala book. But I adore her unicorns and mermaid books. Oh, they're so cute. You know, they're not mandalas. They're just pictures and stuff. And, you know, so any of you that don't really like mandalas, definitely check those two out. And if you just go down to the description and click on the link in the description to this book, when it pulls up for you, just click on the author's name, and it'll show you the author. Click on her name, and it will show you all of the books that she has. You'll be able to see them there, and they'll be kind of easy for you to find that way. I think I'm going to take the markers that I already have in the brush markers and keep my brush markers out and separate the ones that I've got doubles. Just take these ones out and put those back, you know, for backups, since I've already been using those brush markers for a little while. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So once I finish this picture up, I'll go and I'll get those separated out and get that storage done. I've started reorganizing some of my markers, any of my markers that or that have refills, you know, like single replacements, or if they have refills. I've got 2 nice art bags that I use, and I've got a 3rd bag if I need it. But I am starting to combine all of those sets into that, and I'm putting those swatches like at the very beginning of my swatch book, and that way I'll have all of my replaceable markers or my refillable markers all together, and then I'll keep the other budget friendlies that are in sets. I'll keep them in the cases that they're in until they start to run dry, and then once they kind of start to run dry, I'll just start taking marker by marker out, and eventually I'll have to end up combining a bunch of those sets somehow, but I'll deal with that when I get to it. But I definitely wanted all the ones that are refillable or single marker replaceable to start being stored together. I thought it would be a lot easier that way. I thought it would be a neat little way to store those. And if I notice I've got a little list, and if I notice that I'm using a lot of a certain color, like if I'm using a lot of spring green, for example, in one of my refillable sets, I've written down the number and everything, so I'll know which ones I'm using the most. And I've already been through my Prismacolor pencils and took note of which ones I'm going to soon maybe need replacements of. And I'm going to keep a list like that going, and then just kind of X out as I buy them. When I place like an order with Blick or whatever, just kind of X it out so I know that that one's been bought and that I don't have to worry about that one anymore. And that's how I'm just going to start building up my refills and all of that. And I just thought it would be easier if I had those separated that way, where all my refillables and all of that was together, that I could really start getting a better grasp on my markers and what I had going on by doing it, you know, that way. Okay, I'm gonna do a cloud blue background. I think that would be pretty. You guys give me a minute. I'm gonna take a little break and stretch my legs, and we'll do this background and finish up the video. Okay, guys, I don't know how much more quiet we're gonna have. My neighbor is starting to fire up their lawnmower. And it's kind of like a tractor mower, so it may get kind of loud. I've closed up the back door and all the best I can. I think I'm going to try to use the chisel just to kind of see how this works. We're going to do this here backgrounds and see what I think of this here chisel. It's a very oddly shaped chisel compared to some other chisels that I've seen. And you know, it shows you on the box all the different kinds of kind of strokes that you're supposed to be able to make with this. So that's kind of neat. And I mean, it looks like a chisel, but it's just got like indentations and things in it that most chisels don't. Or at least the more budget friendly don't. And this is really the only higher end marker with a chisel that I've ever had. So I really don't have anything to compare it to. But it's not bad. It feels weird a little. But I think I've got pretty good control with it, which is nice. You know, that's always a complaint that I have about chisels, is I don't feel like I'm in control. But this is not bad. You hear Bradley starting to bark. She's out there messing with that lawnmower, and it makes him bark. She just fired it up, and he started barking at it. I guess it hurts his ears. So, we're almost done here. If it gets too loud, I'll just go ahead and end the video. If he starts barking uncontrollably or whatnot. Maybe he'll realize, hey, I got a doggy door. I don't like this noise. I can go inside. She's going to cut this grass and knock all this pollen, all kinds of around. It's going to be fun stuff. The yellow pollen is out really bad here. And my dad is always telling me that, I don't know where he heard this from, but that yellow pollen, that the spores are too large to really get inside of our sinuses and irritate our sinuses. Well, I call BS on that, because when my allergies are the absolute worst is when there's yellow pollen all over. That's when it's pretty bad. Grass doesn't really bother me. Fresh cut grass, a little. I'll feel some itching and things like that in my throat. But I can, like, go roll around in the grass and it doesn't bother me. It's just when it's, like, freshly cut. That's kind of a big thing for me. It's a trigger. Ooh, trying to get in all these little nooks and crannies is proven to be a pain. I really like these markers. Prismacolor markers are amazing. I really wish Prisma would make refills for these markers. But I doubt they will, you know, because they're not just an art company. You know, they fall underneath that Newell company or whatever, and they make all kinds of stuff. So with them not like being primarily an art company, I seriously doubt that they'll do any kind of refills. You know, the markers that have our refills, they're art companies, you know, Blick, Copic, Chameleon, Art and Fly, all of those. Probably gonna just need to keep my back door closed the rest of the day. I was really enjoying the sunshine and some fresh air, but I know with the amount of yellow pollen that's all over our like patio out there, I can only imagine what that lawnmower is kicking all up into the air. And you guys are thinking, lawnmower, are you serious? Oh yes. With all the rain we've had and then the warm days that would pop in and all of that, grass is getting so long. Grass cutting season has arrived in Georgia. I know many of you are still dealing with blizzard conditions. Okay, I think that's very, very pretty. Zoom this out. There we go. This is my picture. I hope you guys like it. I will leave a link in the description to the Prismacolor art markers, to 50 Springtime Mandalas, also to the Jade Summer Swatch book, if you guys are interested in any of that. Thank you for tuning in. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't. We would love, or I would love to have you here. In the description, there's also a link to the Facebook group. Join us over there. It's a great, great group of people, very supportive, and share your art. And until next time, guys, peace, love, and happy coloring. Bye, guys.